Just so everyone's keen as to where I'm coming from, in case you're only listening for the first time now, I started getting interested in, Bitcoin and stuff in 2017. And you would do tell me if I'm getting this wrong or right, but I think you would do a weekly roundup that you would host on, I think on YouTube. I remember always going, and I would watch every single one because I thought you were very fair, very reasonable. Whether or not you liked it or not, it didn't matter. You were trying to be as fair as possible. And then I remember going and checking your profile, and you were gone. And you had vanished from the cryptocurrency space. There were people who were saying he's obviously bitter about how much Doge is worth now. He didn't make any money. So can you clarify, what got you to be I gotta go?
It's actually happened twice. It's just the second time was a little bit more extreme. What happened after I made the joke was that another person reached out to me, my co-founder, Billy. He had been more into kind of blockchain development stuff before, and he's like, hey, I'll make it a real thing. And that's how Dogecoin became a real thing. In the early days, I'd also happened to coincide with when I was moving from Australia to San Francisco. So I was first week off the plane, hadn't even rented a place yet, but I was speaking next to Charlie Lee at Coin Summit in San Francisco. I was dunked head first into the culture, if you want to call it that. It became really apparent to, at first I was oh, this is exciting. There's lots of people, they want to talk to me. It's cool. But after about 6 months of being into it, in combination with there being obvious scammers got involved in Dogecoin, which happens with any cryptocurrency, but also I just became very aware of the kind of people that I was being surrounded by. I was whoa, this doesn't align with me. And so I kind of backed away, gave all the control of the GitHub repo and everything off to some other community members. There's a CoinDesk article, I think, from 2015, where it's Jackson Palmer quits crypto, cites it as toxic libertarian bros or something like that, right? And so that was the first time I kind of left. And I didn't have a lot to do with cryptocurrency.
I found the article, by the way. Dogecoin founder exits crypto community citing toxic culture. This is from April 23rd, 2015, written by Pete Rizzo over at CoinDesk.
Back when Pete was just, I think, a contributing, he was one of the lower rung journalists.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Updated in September of 2021. So I guess they've been keeping an eye
on you. But anyway, so I was I'd wiped my hands of it. I was off doing other things. And then in 2017, I was in an Uber here in San Francisco. The Uber driver is this Ethereum thing, I think I should probably get in on it. And I'm oh no, it's happening again. So that's when I started the YouTube channel you were referring to. And I used to do a weekly video where I'd go into the details of a concept. I did an NFT video in 2018 or something, back before anybody knew what an NFT was. And then I did a weekly thing called Crypto Weekly, which was kind of a roundup, like you said. So I did that for couple of years. It's funny because a lot of people like to assume oh, the guy's just salty. He doesn't actually know anything about crypto. I was in it. I was sitting around having beers with the Cosmos guys talking about that. I was sitting around with Jed talking about Stellar. I was in amongst it. And that's why I was able to make that YouTube channel, because I was having conversations about consensus and blockchain storage. And actually, what drove me at the end to delete my entire online presence was impersonators. So because I was a figure in the blockchain space, I used to almost weekly have YouTube accounts that would take my footage and replay it and say, Jackson Palmer is live, send Bitcoin or Dogecoin to this address and they'll double it back, right? It used to happen on Twitter, it used to happen everywhere. And it was so bad that I used to have people contact me. They'd email me and be like, hey, I sent you the $5,000. Can I get it back? And I'm like, oh no. Even though it's not my fault, these people are losing money because of my face being used. And I was like, this is terrible. So if there's nobody to impersonate, then I can't be impersonated. So I literally nuked my entire online presence and didn't really have a Twitter or anything, any social media until probably about a year ago.
So what motivated you to come back and to now start this new podcast and to start commenting on this space again?
The first time I was inactive, crypto had gone through a lull, and then crypto had another lull after like the ICO bubble kind of popped. And then in 2021, we all know what happened with like NFTs and DeFi and all of this kind of stuff. Eventually, what ended up happening was I started getting reached out to by a lot of journalists when Mr. Musk started getting involved in like pumping up Dogecoin. And I was like I have to say something. So I came back online. I finally got access to my Twitter account and I posted very quickly, just was only live for a minute. I was like, Elon Musk is and always will be a self-absorbed grifter, I believe is what I said. And then I deleted it and kind of just went off into, I was like, that's my public statement. I'm gone. And then I thought, these bubbles pop, so I won't get back involved for very long. But after a while, like the bubble wasn't popping, I was like, I'm going to do a podcast about this. So I started writing a script for a podcast called Griftonomics. This was in like early 2021. And I was like, I'll do this. It'll go live. It'll be great. And then what happened around the time, I think there was that Save the Kids scandal that happened and CoffeeZilla exposed them, like the FaZe clan and all of that.
Yeah. Who are all now fine. Like everyone forgot about it, and everyone's forgotten about that and moved right along. But yeah, sorry,
Didn't one of them get kicked off?
Isn't that crazy?
Didn't one of them get kicked off the team? I thought one of them at least had some consequences.
One or two of them
and the
got
rest
kicked
away
off the
with
team, but they went on to like
now
scam
they're
again, and they made all their money, and
independent,
yeah.
Well, anyway, because of the video he published, I think he actually got sued by FaZe Clan or by the people involved. And I was like, why do I want to do a podcast where I'm going to like a lot of powerful people with a lot of money? Like, why am I doing this again? And so what I did was I took the script to that first episode and I published it live as the Twitter thread, which is now my like pinned Twitter thread. It got pretty big at the time. And it was really just a takedown of crypto. And I was like, I'll just post that and I won't mention anybody's names and I'll be done with it. And so I posted that. It was pretty big for about a year. I just, again, was offline doing stuff like making music and things like that. And I was like, the bubble's got to pop. And then it didn't. And I was like, you know what? Now I'm ready to take the emotional and mental battering that will inevitably come at me. And so that's really it. I think I'm just a sucker for having idiots yell at me online.
Masochist.